Welcome to No Prize Podcast. What a brand spanking new intro and sharp that looks. Hi, Johnny. Hi, Lucas. How are you?
All good. I think the audio guy deserves a raise for
Ah,
that intro. That was, as they say over here, tickety boo.
oh, it's the only place
It
they
was
say it.
quite the fish and chips, wasn't it? No,
now,
banging, bangers, fish and chips. Just saying. All right.
bangers and mash, bangers and mash.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
All right, so we're into May, and the big news here is we have the opening of Doctor Strange this weekend, and only one of us has seen it, so we're doing a non-spoiler type episode here, so that Johnny and I don't get spoiled. But Lucas is going to go over our opening day numbers here.
Look, 36 million on that Thursday, that opening day, and then through the weekend, it's looking like 85 million up to that freaking that Saturday. And people are thinking maybe, just maybe, this may be able to do 150. And look, Marvel needs this. They need this bad boy to hit a billion because with the business ongoings right now that Marvel has, they need this money really badly right now.
Mm,
And it's not just bad dealings. It's just the way that the freaking stock market is going right now. Especially with the interest rates being recently raised. All the money that they owe, it's going to be problematic. These numbers right here kind of put them at eighth when it comes to openings, all-time openings for superheroes movies. That includes DCU members. Um, man, and they really, and you know what, Marvel really needed this. You know why? Because all we've been talking about, and actually everybody around me that's been talking about, it's like, hey, Marvel's kind of been slipping a little bit, right? In between that Moon Knight series and some other series that just haven't quite hit. They kind of really needed this one to hit. Now, here's the deal: some of the reviews about this thing haven't necessarily been light. They haven't been necessarily good or positive. But I do think it sits at least 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, whatever. I got to check it out last night. And you know what? It wasn't bad. The acting was absolutely terrible. It was absolutely fucking. Excuse my language. It was absolute trash.
Tell us how you really feel.
The acting was absolute trash. Um, some of the timing of some of the emotional scenes were absolute trash. Right.
mm,
Um, so I always go into like, okay, let's do more representation, right? Whether it be black, yellow, red, you want to get the LGBTQ, you want to get those people represented. Let's do that, but the timing has got to be on point. You can't freaking just stop the story in order to do that type of stuff, and they missed in this one, right? And it makes sense because you know why? Because this movie is supposed to be a horror movie. It's not supposed to be a lovey-dovey freaking let's hold hands across the freaking America and across the multiverse. This is supposed to be a bad person going after and killing all calling good, and then maybe the final girl survives, maybe, right? Um, and we got some elements of that. Congrats to Sam Raimi who actually did a good job on his part. You could see that there were two different screenwriters, right? One that was supposed to do the superhero stuff, and then him coming in and doing the horror stuff, right? And the horror stuff was absolutely on point. The other stuff, oh my goodness, they gotta, they gotta clean some of that stuff up, man. But you
Well,
know
it looked
what?
like they were trying to like break new ground and stuff. We haven't seen a real Marvel horror movie, right? And I
Right.
did. That's what I did hear was that there was some of those vibes in there. And my kids both saw it. They said it was great. And they're under penalty of death to not spoil it before I see it on Monday.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we want to segue into Moon Knight because I do think that was a good point where you think that you said Marvel was kind of losing a bit of a step there. I thought Moon Knight was a miss for me. And you guys were just telling me that you guys couldn't even get into the show a little
Yeah,
bit, you know?
I've watched the first episode. I wasn't really enthused to watch the next one. I am going to binge it. I've got some time off coming up, and I'm going to sit and I'm going to plow through. At least that's the idea. But my wife, who likes the Marvel shows and the Marvel movies a lot more than I do, even she stopped halfway through the second episode. So,
Well, I watched the entire things, and I'll tell you 6 episodes I didn't think was going to be long enough, but it turned out to almost be too long. And my biggest gripe in the whole show is that Mark Spector didn't have enough time as Moon Knight in all 6 episodes. He was, a couple of times he was in it for a minute, as far as being the superhero instead of being Stephen Grant or Mark Spector. And then as you went on, I expected them to do more Moon Knight stuff, and they didn't. And even to the detriment of the final episode, where they introduce another superhero in the last episode, and you have to really kind of dig back into your Marvel historic knowledge to even know who this character is, because first of all, it's a gender switch, and second of all, it's an obscure superhero character who's maybe appeared 2 or 3 times in the entire history, and they actually focus on that character in the final episode rather than Moon Knight. And to me, that was a huge miss, because that was what I wanted to see, Moon Knight kicking ass, and instead we got kind of like a Marvel team up at the end. And to me, it was really kind of a misstep there. Maybe that introduction of a new character might get you to watch the show now. But with rumors that this is it was a one and done, with no season 2 coming, then
really,
I don't see the point. Right.
So, I mean, I thought the CGI in the show was terrible.
Yeah. Marvel's done better.
And I remember saying to you guys that I worry that the mental health element is used as a MacGuffin. And that feels like, from what I've heard so far, in that there's no actual conclusion to any of the personalities' story. It's just, let's add another personality, let's add another personality, let's add another personality. And if I wanted to watch shows about different personalities, surely the idea is that it's Moon Knight, that all these personalities are the cape that are hung on it, so to speak. So you'd expect that to have some sort of resolution, or at least some sort of progression for one of them. But if you're going to keep chopping and changing, well, then, you know what? There's no continuity. There's no sense of drama, because the ones that I like probably aren't going to turn up again. So,
and once you watch the entire thing, plus the after credit scene, which of course there's one, that you're going to feel even more strongly about the point you just made. So. Cool. I mean, you just made a point without even knowing it. So.
Oh, there you go. That's how strange I am.
All right. So, the only thing. So, what we have upcoming, we will be Doctor Strange for the next couple of weeks here, and then we have Thor: Love and Thunder coming out in July. So we got a couple of months to go there. But first, we have Obi-Wan coming in just a couple of weeks, and so we're trying to stay away from some spoilers there. But I've seen the latest trailer that dropped on May the 4th be with us, and I think it looks great, and it's like 6-issue limited series, so this is another one and done.
Yeah. So May the 4th, I've got to say, happy birthday to my Auntie Sheila. May the 4th is her birthday. She's not that impressed. She says it was Star Wars Day, but she's 80. She did get there first, so there you go.
Well,
happy birthday, Sheila.
The digital signs they have on the highways when you're driving. They give you messages. On May 4th, I was driving to work in Boston, and they had signs, like you were driving down the signs, and like one sign would say, "Speeding is the path to the dark side," and you get further down, and be like, "Only a scruffy-looking nerf herder litters," and there was a few of them, and I thought that was pretty cool. It was drive the speed limit. This is the way. I thought it was. I was just laughing, and I was just like, all these nerds that are in charge of these digital signs today.
They're slowing down. All the nerds driving are slowing down, causing
This is
traffic
the way.
jams and
Yeah.
accidents. Yeah.
Yep. So I actually thought this is the first year that I've actually seen May 4th really kind of embrace as far as Star Wars, like all over the country, not just in our society here, but everywhere.
I just want to say for all you super nerds out there who think it's cool to say "May the Fourth be with you" and then post a picture of something from Star Trek or Doctor Who or some other science fiction thing, you're idiots. Every single one of you. Just saying.
They're wrecking with your sensibilities, Johnny.
I don't understand the point of it all. To be fair, it's like you don't
Oh,
you don't celebrate one thing by promoting another. But hey ho, what do I know?
is that the variant for the Star Wars Obi-Wan book?
Yes, sir. This is the 1 in 25. Is it the Anandito, I believe? Yeah, the Ariel Anandito 1 in 25 just was sold out. To include several of even the qualifiers sold out. The Phil Noto, the Momoko hasn't sold out yet because look, people are gonna overorder the Phil Momoko. Now there was two spoilers. There was two new um, characters inside this freaking book. One is a childhood friend of Obi-Wan, and the other one is a new villain. I forget what her name is, like Arasan or something like that. So people were all over this because look, Star Wars has been hot. Freaking, that's definitely a thing that people can focus on, and that there might show up at some point wherever the Star Wars universe is freaking happening. So people were hyped to pick this one up.
Cool.
Nice. I actually like the story in this too.
Yeah, it was all right. And the Star Wars books have a kind of, for me, they have like a Holden pattern in the most part. They're kind of like just sat there, just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
I am a little bit done with the whole Damerons in the main book. I could do without that.
Right. Well, I'm enjoying the Crimson Reign storyline that's going through the entire line, and that's kind of what I like that they're doing with the Star Wars universe at Marvel is kind of tying everything together and kind of nothing's like off in a vacuum.
Right.
So I
Things are
enjoy having that. Good.
Yeah, well, I mean, things are going to get a little bit more interesting now because at CinemaCon, they Marvel made a whole bunch of announcements to include some stuff that was in the Dark Horse freaking sector. So for those that don't know, Star Wars is broken up into two segments, right? There's the normal continuity Marvel Star Wars universe, right? And anything that happens inside the movies. And then there's the stuff that was written by Dark Horse that at one point Marvel said, no, that didn't happen. Forget about it. But now, let's see, there is I forget the name of the thing that they're going to do, but one of the principal characters, his name is Ulik Heldrama. He's going to get a freaking show at some point.
Is
And
he from the Star Wars Legacy series?
yes, he's from the
Yeah.
Star Wars. And it's not called Star Wars Legacy. It's called the sector they broke it off as Star Wars Legends, right? So that means that well, here's the stuff that we know first that happened, but then there's this weird stuff about Jedi legend that can't be true over here. So don't pay
Right.
attention to that, right?
Well, it's funny. It's funny you mention that because in the second of the new ones, what's that? The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, is that the middle one? The Last Jedi. They start using an indicator transport to stop the rebels jumping to hyperspace. That's in the Timothy Zahn books.
Yes.
Way before Dark. Well, just around the same time as Dark Horse were doing their Dark Empire series. That was the whole thing. And also, you've got to bear in mind that the book Shadows of the Empire, which introduced a crime syndicate,
Yes.
that was at the time classed as canon.
Yep.
In fact, the Black Sun is the criminal organization gets a mention in the Solo Star Wars movie. So I don't think I think there are things that are going to transfer over
Mhm.
one way or the other. But you're absolutely right, Lucas. Sometimes it is harder for characters to make that change. But
Well, though they do in the Rise of Skywalker, they do the cloning of the Emperor. That's the storyline from Dark Empire. The Dark Horse. That was like a rip.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So
and of course, in the Timothy Zahn books, they make a clone of Luke Skywalker.
yeah.
So.
Right. So
And a lot of
right,
those
so
books at Dark Horse are really, really good. So you should go read them. But they're from what, 20 years ago now.
right.
Easy.
But it's scary, right? Because I know a lot of comic book speculators that put a lot of good money in some of the newer stuff, right? And the continuity stuff. But then there's all this Dark Horse stuff that they kind of ignored, right? When it comes to this, look, freaking the white Vader freaking costume, that's a Dark Horse thing, right? Where he actually becomes a good guy and becomes a Jedi. I mean, we already know, hey, he was a Jedi, then he turned to Sith. Well, there's a storyline out there where he actually turned back into a Jedi to help out Luke and Leia. That's out there, and I know that's there's something that they're considering because they just put out a Hasbro Pulse toy for that white Vader that's out there. There's also, people might want to freaking think about Luke Skywalker's son. That's a Dark Horse freaking story. His wife, that's a freaking Dark Horse story.
I've been
His
waiting
wife.
for them to introduce Mara Jade.
No, Mara Jade's not Dark Horse. Mara Jade's Timothy Zahn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I know I've got the books.
Yeah, and we're getting
Downstairs.
Thrawn in the Ahsoka series that's coming out. So that's
we've had Thrawn in Rebels.
right.
So the amount of information,
Right.
the amount of stuff they're willing to mine from the different sources, I think it's going to be I think it's up for debate which one fits where and who's which what. And the fact is, it's all Star Wars. Enjoy it. That's what I would go with.
Right. Well, I mean, what I think what they learned is that we don't need a rehashing of the same characters. Like we don't need a rehashing of Han Solo, or what happened to him. We just love that he was a great, mysterious, tall, dark, mysterious freaking figure that came out of freaking nowhere. We don't need a rehashing of what C-3PO was doing. While he was freaking. We don't need that.
Nobody cares about your red arm, 3PO. Nobody cares.
we we get it. Some of these characters have some the rehashing of the Lando Cardassian character. We don't need that. He was just a cool freaking cat that just came on the freaking scene. We don't need a rehashing of that. So we would like to see some of these other characters if we can flesh out. So the one cool thing about the Solo thing was it did introduce us to like the cartels, right? So that fleshes out the Crimson Reign, and the Crimson Reign books have been absolutely fantastic. I love those, but don't freaking show me Han Solo as an awkward kid. I don't need that right now. I need to see the other bad guy freaking characters and how they affected the rest of the universe. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, Han shoots first.
Yeah. That whole
Right.
argument, I can't believe that's long argument. People like, well, at frame 0.05, you can clearly see the green light and then the yellow light, and then he falls down. Like, nah, come on, man, sit your ass down.
All right, let's jump into our first review because I want to go back in time a week and I want to do Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man #1, the return of John Romita Jr. And Johnny, this was your pick, and I really, really, really want to hear your thoughts on this because I was kind of a mixed bag myself, but I want to hear what you had to say about it.
So I opened this book, and I kind of switched off for the Spider-Man Beyond stuff. All right.
Yeah.
So this book opens up, and it's the Peter Parker's on his knees. There's an explosion around him and stuff. I was like, oh my God, what have I missed? So I had to go back and read the last Spider-Man Beyond issue to find out
You didn't
That
miss
had
anything.
nothing to do with it at all. Not at all. Not a
Yep.
thing. I was like, oh, great, cool.
Yep. It's a great
So,
jumping on point for new readers.
yeah,
There we go.
excellent. So we'll go through the stats for this one. Written by Zeb Wells. You mentioned John Romita Jr. Scott Hanna's on inks. Marcio Menez is on colors, and VC's Joe Caramanga is the letterer. Before I get into the book, I want to say one thing about comics generally, and this goes to everybody. Marvel, DC, indie people, put your letterers on the cover of the book, please. They are valuable creators in their own rights. Thank you. All right, okay. So anyway, Spider-Man.
Get a great
I've
thwip
often
on that cover, and that thwip is due to Joe Caramagna.
Yeah. So I would say this, as I've said before, Spider-Man is interesting when Peter Parker's got some problems going on. When he puts on the suit, you know he's going to kick ass and he's going to be all like quippy and whippy and thrippy. You know that whole thing. But this book absolutely, totally wears that mindset on its sleeve. Somewhere along the line, he's pissed off Mary Jane. He's annoyed the Fantastic Four. He's persona non grata in his place. He's annoyed Randy. There's some stuff going on. There is some stuff. On top of that, it looks like Tombstone's becoming the big bad again for a while. Now, I'm of an age where I absolutely love Tombstone from the Spectacular Spider-Man run, written by Jerry Conway with art by Sal Buscema. So that's around, I think it's around the late 140s to the 160s. There you go. Check it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's around that era. I thought this book was great. I thought the dialogue was fun. I'm confused where the kids come from and why they call Mary Jane mom, but I suppose that
Well,
goes.
the daughter looks like Mary Jane too, so I was like, this is really her child.
Yeah. So I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So for me, I liked it. The art. It's the art that absolutely rocks. Absolutely. So for me, John Romita Jr. is a legend, and he should always be on this book. So I think it's great. It is a little bit of catch up, and it does kind of spoil the happy ending that Mary Jane and Peter almost had, I suppose. But it'll be interesting to get them back to where they want to be. I love the fact that Peter still loves MJ. So there you go.
Lucas, what did you think of it?
Absolute garbage. No, I'm just everything's absolute freaking garbage this week. Absolutely. All right. Well, I mean, look,
Well, just for the record, this was last week.
this was last
Yes.
week. Okay.
This was last week's book.
How did you not like this book?
Because it's another Amazing Spider-Man #1, and it just jumped us in this storyline with no other context. Like, okay, everybody hates him. Like that's literally what his whole character thing been like this whole life, right? Okay, like Auntie May doesn't like him, his own, his wife who's now no longer his wife doesn't freaking like him. It's like, come
Well, he
on, man.
wasn't. In fact, she wasn't his
Like,
wife in the last run either. So you know what I'm saying.
yeah, like I don't know, man. So here's what I'm getting at. They missed an opportunity, right? Because I was waiting on the fallout from her lying to him about working for Mysterio. I was waiting on the fallout from that. If they would have freaking gave me that and then say, okay, as a result of that, therefore this happens. Don't give me this, and any good writer will tell you, don't do this happened and then this happened and then this happened and then this happened. No, no, you got to go. This happened, therefore this happened, therefore this happened. Right now, I'm just dropped in the middle of then and then and then and then he just shows up at the cemetery with a whole bunch of bad guys, and then no repercussions really happen right now, except for Tombstone wants to see him, and now Tombstone is gonna freaking go after after Spidey. It's like like, okay, no, bad guy villains want to kill Spider-Man. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Well,
Now the jaw dropping, of course, you already mentioned, is that you know MJ has got kids possibly with another dude. Where did I see this storyline before? Black Widow. Black Widow has a kid that came out of nowhere with a dude that came out of nowhere. You know, and then you got creepy ass Hawkeye and Winter Soldier creeping outside her window, wondering what in the heck is going on. Right?
that's like that. This is way different. This is way
Really,
I,
different.
really,
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
really,
yeah.
yeah.
really.
Well, I
Mhm.
think
Okay.
that there's more. Well, there's more to reveal, right? In this first issue, and I'm taking parts of both of what you guys think because I am kind of on the middle of the road on here. The one thing that I don't like that Marvel does is these hard resets, right? So now we have a new writer, Zeb Wells, who comes in, and John Romita Jr. So it's a new creative team, and it's okay. Who cares about what happened before? So I'm like, okay, so I didn't really even need to read Spider-Man Beyond, right? Or I didn't need to read anything about, any of the previous run, those. I can't even remember the name of that. The bad guy that ran around in the last 80 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, very forgettable. That ended up being Harry, right?
Yeah,
Um,
The
began with an
centipede,
R.
yeah, the centipede dude.
Yeah. So so I don't need any of this. So all of a sudden, we turn to page one and we have him screaming when this bomb goes off or something, and it looked like he had the timing device. So it looks like he set it off. Right? Is that what everybody thinks that happened? Maybe
I'm not.
we're not jumping ahead.
Nope.
uh, and and Johnny, I love what you said before about man, his social life is just a shit show. Excuse my
Yeah.
French, but we have Aunt May is mad at him again. You
Everyone's
have
mad at him.
and then the MJ bomb drop. That was the jaw dropping. Like what the heck did I miss? Right.
Mm.
So I'm interested in seeing how this unfolds. I just wish, because they're making big news about, even though this is Amazing Spider-Man #1, this is really legacy issue, 890 something. So we have issue number 900 coming, and this is the big storyline that's going to lead to number 900. I think there needs to be some respect about the storylines that have come before and how things should be continuing from one story to the next, not a hard reset where you look back and say, okay, so none of that stuff that I've been invested in for the last 3 or 4 years even matters.
And it's a great point, Professor. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Nobody cared about the stuff that's been happening in the last
No.
4 years in Spider-Man.
I know. So if this is a good reset to a great story, I'm 100% on board, and I was going to be 100% on board anyway. So
yeah, because I mean the Nick Spencer stuff. Surely to
Right.
God, we can all agree that was, for the most part, utter tosh, right?
it was like an abortion of a run, and that was it was forgettable. It was not what I thought would have happened after his Captain America run, which I thought was great. And Nick Spencer was great on the Deadly Foes of Spider-Man, so he knew how to write Spider-Man. It's just that I think what he was doing was that everything was leading up to that next event, and that's one of the things I don't like that's happening in comics these days is everything is building towards the next almost quarterly event now, right? So every 3 months we get 5 issues in a big double-sized issue to finish it.
I mean, it all works at the same time. At one point over the last recent time, we had the Dark Times and we had the Darkhold miniseries both running together.
Dark
as
Ages.
well as No Avengers kicking around.
Yep.
So it's not just one event anymore. There's like several mini events that impact a number of different titles.
All right. So it seems to me like I think we're all over the board on this book.
I'm giving it some time. I was got to be honest because I've been a bit harsh on Zeb Wells in the past.
Yes.
But I think this time around, I think he's got Peter's voice down, bang on. He's got that sense of perpetual everything's in the can very well.
And
So,
you can't understate John Romita's return to the book.
oh man,
And
the book it looks top tier just by his ass.
well, and I think we're all of the age where he was on the book, and with Hobgoblin in the early '80s,
Oh
and then
man,
just all that
perfect.
stuff, and the villains that they pull out in here with the underworld. I mean, Spider-Man's strongest villains always been like the underworld seedy type characters, and the Tombstone is just fantastic in this book and a great pick to kind of kick this off.
love
And
Tombstone. One of my favorite.
and of course we do get the last couple of pages are a little Dr. Octopus teaser. So that he's coming back with some new villain that looked like he had Dr. Octopus as a prisoner. So so we'll see what happens going forward. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. Hopefully this is like this is the 60th anniversary of Amazing Spider-Man, and hopefully this kicks off a whole year worth of great stories. And if John Romita Jr. ever leaves this book again, I mean, for what? I don't want to see him leaving this book forever.
To be fair, I'm going to be honest. I love Romita on Superman. I loved him on Batman. He suits Spider-Man absolutely.
Yeah,
I think some artists suit characters, and Romita suits Spidey.
Yeah, I mean, and the legacy of the Romita name on Spider-Man is just is unequaled, maybe just by Stan. But anyway,
Lucas is not impressed.
No, so as you guys are, having a love fest over this book, I just want y'all to remember that there was a 1 to 500 variant of this book.
Oh,
okay.
a picture of
So
it.
certain retailers had to spend $1,000 to get a particular cover of this book, which was not even that impressive, anyways. There was 1 to 500s. There was 1 to 200s, 1 to 250s, all types of crazy stuff going on with this book. And I just did not feel that the story inside warranted that type of freaking attention. And neither did the speculators. The speculators agreement. It was like, this book is absolute freaking trash. Like, how do you go from some those so let's run it back of the Spider-Man freaking storylines we've had within the last year or so, right? Don't forget Kingpin. He's still out there, and he still has the life and death tablets out there that he had everybody, to include Tombstone, running around to get him. Don't forget that. Then you got the Centipede dude who was running all through freaking Petey's nightmares, right? Don't forget the fact that we just had a storyline where his ribs are supposed to be cracked, right, where he can basically barely move. And then you had Mary Jane and Black Cat working together for a little bit.
That's a great book.
What happened to all that? I could logically in my mind see a story writing structure that leads to this, but they said, nope, let's just jump in on this and just start with some panels with him out in the middle of the freaking desert.
Yeah, I think they solved that issue with the second page where it said 6 months later. So I kind of think that there's a lot more to see on that.
6 months later, gentlemen, for $5.99, I want what happened inside those 6 months.
We're gonna find out. You're gonna have to just pay more.
More pages.
Not for $5.99.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, let's take a break real quick. We'll come back and talk more comics. Watch this ad for the Definitive Crusade. Ooh. That almost makes me want to read a DC comic.
Well, you should. Pick wisely, my friend. Pick wisely.
Pick one of the 20 Batman titles.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
sorry. How many X books?
DC has been killing Marvel lately.
How many X books are there right now? Just saying.
Okay.
The question was asked when the advert first played. Why has everyone got glamour shots? But it looks like I'm just being recorded on the show. That's because I'm never away from the bloody thing. I'm always on podcasts. So there you go. Yeah. But hey, at least you got me with a pen in my hand.
Great. All right, let's jump into our next review, and I want to talk Iron Man. That's Iron Man number 19.
Legacy number?
Legacy number is 644.
Yeah, good man.
So we want to do. Let's shout out the guilty parties here. Writer is Christopher Cantwell. Artist is Cafu. God bless you. Color artist is Frank Darmarda. Letterer is VC's Joe Caramagna, popular guy.
Put the letters on the cover.
Yes. I always like to blame the editors. So let's blame Martin Biro, Annalise Pisa, and Tom Brevoort if you don't like this book. This is the final part of the Korvac saga. And this is, so I'm going to tell you a bunch of things that I didn't like about this book. But first of all, I want to say what I did like. And I think the art by Cafu in this is just absolutely gorgeous, especially with the Frank Darmarda as the color artist. If you just look at page 2, where you have the backgrounds with the trees and the bridge and Korvac glowing with the red highlights and just, you know, holding Tony Stark in his hands. I just thought that was like the panel to just suck me into this book and not let me go. And it did. The thing I didn't like, because I want to say the art is the strongest point in this book. I didn't like where this story went from the beginning, and the end of this book, the end of this story really kind of fell flat on its face for me. First of all, you know, we all know Tony Stark and his bouts with alcoholism, but they really kind of took a turn down the road here to get him addicted to morphine through this storyline. And here is really kind of the culmination of the fact that he's basically overdosing in this issue, and Korvac, the big cosmic baddie, who is about to destroy him, basically gets talked into releasing his power cosmic and becoming human. And then because he becomes human, he realizes that Tony Stark is dying, so it brings him to the hospital to get fixed. And the end of this story, we have Tony and Patsy Walker, Hellcat, for those people that care, end up driving off into the sunset and dropping Tony off at a rehabilitation center to get well. I really kind of thought that the focus on this whole storyline, this is why this shocked me, because the focus on this whole storyline was Tony versus Korvac, and then Tony stole Korvac's cosmic power and became cosmic himself, and that was the big conflict in this whole story. And then to kind of out of left field turn this into an addiction storyline right at the end really kind of shocked me a little bit. And the thing that smacks to me about this, pun intended, is that it feels like I've read this before. It feels like I've already read a bunch of stories about Tony not being able to chase his demons away, and it seemed like an easy out, to end this story. And what happened to the big bad drawn out fight at the end between Iron Man and Korvac, which I would have loved to see. Instead, we have an issue, and I know Johnny hates this. Iron Man's not even in the issue. There's no armor at all.
So, see, yeah. So on one hand, you're saying you don't want to see Tony battle his demons again because you've seen it before, but you do want to see Iron Man take on a big villain and kick the crap out of him because we haven't seen that before, right?
and here's what I don't like about the where comics are going in general is that there's always a third option. Like they don't have to fight, they can kiss and make up, and that the power of love will get you through, which is why I hated the Wonder Woman movie at the end. The, this this cover where it says the final enemy, I mean the final enemy really is yourself, right, at the end.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that to me was it was a cop out to me after the last I mean, how long has this Korvac storyline been going on anyway? If you guys have been reading Iron Man, it's been going on for like 6 months. It's maybe even longer than that. And to me, it was just I think it was an anticlimactic ending, and I mean, as much as I loved the artwork, I just I thought the storyline was strong up until this issue where they kind of I don't know how they wanted. I mean, this is how they wanted to end it with Tony being addicted to morphine and needing to go to rehab. And that to me should seem way more important than it actually ended up being. So I don't know. What did you guys think?
Lucas?
Yeah. So this. So I was actually looking at some of the covers as to answer your question about like how long has the story been going on. It looks like since January of 2021, that's when they actually started bringing in Hellcat into the storyline and dripping her in.
So it's been a year
Yeah.
and a half.
No, once again, when it comes to speculators, because we do read every once in a while, the the most interesting thing is, I was actually looking back over the last 2 years, what has been the most prolific freaking Iron Man covers, right? Um, one was Miles Morales. There's a Miles Morales Iron Man cover, right? And then the other one, there's a Ironheart freaking cover that's out there. So the best covers for Iron Man don't even have Iron Man on the freaking cover, right? Because he's lost, right? We just don't care about Tony right anymore right now. And I don't know whether that's because in the MCU he's dead, right? So they're not speculating on anything else they can do with him right now, and we're just like, well, who cares about Tony if there's nothing else they can do with him right now. They should probably bring back the whole holographic thing, right? Because people actually love that idea of him as a mentor. And then they probably should have probably went from the hologram to this Korvac story where he becomes like a cosmic character, right? So that's the whole issue for me right now. Just a couple of issues ago, he was a whole cosmic character fighting against a Korvac character who was cosmic and trying to go universally cosmic. And now he's just a regular old guy right now with a alcohol addiction. Do people even have alcohol addictions anymore?
God,
Right?
yes.
Yeah. Do we even care about alcohol addiction? I mean, I get it.
Yes.
Yes, we do. But do we care about that? I mean, like, come on, it's 2022. People have fentanyl addictions now. Right? It's
Right.
all about meth
This
and
is
fentanyl.
right. Okay. Right.
Johnny?
As a proponent of mental health, I can safely say that the issue in this book isn't whether he's addicted to pills, painkillers, alcohol, stimulants, whatever. The idea behind this book is that somewhere along the line, both Michael and Tony have a gap in their character that makes them want to use things to make them feel better. Whether that
But
be cosmic power, or even Tony himself says it, even if it's using the armor to make him feel better.
right.
So
But you
the
gotta remember,
substance,
Johnny.
the substance
Yeah,
doesn't matter. The addiction is internal.
yeah. But you gotta remember, Johnny. You gotta remember the one big thing that I will always go back to. Remember 2 years ago where they established that this is not even fucking Tony.
Well, that was another point that I was going to make,
This is
because
not
when
even Tony.
I was reading this.
All right.
I was reading this book, and I had your voice in my head saying, "Well, this isn't Tony." Well, I suppose you could argue that it's going to have Tony's failings and so on, you know. But I just think, from a mental health point of view, I thought the story was well done. I thought the elements of addiction were well covered, because it isn't about alcohol. It's not about pills. It's about being addicted in the first place. It's about filling that void in your life with another substance, right? And the rehab bit is because it normally takes something like 21 days to break a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anyone can go into rehab and break the habit of using alcohol, but if you don't fix that thing that's wrong with you internally, if you haven't got that emotional center, if you haven't got that thing that's causing you to drink in the first place resolved, then you're going to drop to something else. And that's exactly what Tony's done. If you look at it, he's gone from alcohol, he's gone to painkillers. He even uses his arm as a way to escape.
Yeah.
So for me, I get it. You want to see a big battle, but you get it, but not the way you expect it. And I think I think Cantwell does a great way of showing what addiction actually is without actually glamorizing it. So for me, this book, the art, Professor, you're absolutely right. The art just is staggering.
Mm.
Cafu and I can't say it, D'Amato.
Darmata.
Um, the art and the colours are gorgeous. For me, this was the pick of this week's comics, hands down, hands down.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought. I see. This is a thing. This is surprising me, Johnny, because I thought you wouldn't have liked it because Iron Man didn't make an
no,
appearance. It was just Tony
no,
Stark.
for mental health, I'm a big proponent of mental health. You know, in my day job, I'm a safeguarding officer. I deal with lots of vulnerable people and vulnerable adults on a daily basis, and to see real life issues handled so responsibly just puts a great big smile on my face. So there you go.
Well, and they did at the end. The final page had a phone number to call
Yeah,
if
yeah.
if you knew or if you needed help with addiction. So if this to me, I didn't know that the storyline was going to end up here with kind of like an addiction note at the end, and that was surprising to me. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Well,
it
you
is
know
what
what?
it is.
Right? You know what's weird? So one of my favorite Iron Man books is The Devil in a Bottle. Right?
Yep.
That's my
Yeah.
favorite cover of all time. And if you actually read the series up to that, you had no idea that was coming. It's just boom, here you go. Here's a
Yeah.
story about his freaking addiction. So that this kind of fits what they just like to do with Iron Man. Hey, here we go. Here's some crazy ass freaking story. And yeah, I definitely freaking get it when it comes to whole mental stuff. But the only issue, and I want to freaking come at it, is that if you look at any of the covers, to include this one, you have no idea what's coming, right? So, for instance, this cover right here is a homage to Hamlet's Fifth, right? In
Right.
which, in which Hamlet freaking visits the cemetery, and he sees, and he's actually handed the skull of one of his childhood friends, and he goes into this whole thing about how happy how you can be happy in your childhood and as you're young, but eventually you're going to have to face death. That's literally what it's about. Is you're going to have to face death, and we will all face death at some point. And the whole thing about the story, it doesn't freaking give me that feeling. John is right. It's a whole different vibe,
Mm.
right? When it comes to facing addiction, and you literally have a god peering into your eyes, trying to whip your ass in a freaking shape. Freaking, hey, I'm getting ready to fucking kill you, and you're like, well, I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care about dying right now.
Yeah.
I got some other crap going on.
Yeah.
So,
Do you do
Alas,
that?
Yorick, I knew him well.
Do you do that when I wake up, please?
yeah.
All right, all right. So
I just want it on the record that Lucas said I was right. You all heard that, right?
No, you're
okay,
mostly right, man. It's just that when it comes to the other readers, the speculators, do they care about you being
Yeah,
right?
you know what, that's a fair shout actually. But
s-
hey ho.
all right. Let's jump into. We're gonna drop one of the books, but we're gonna do Avengers Forever. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
why?
So
Why?
Lucas, this is your pick. Let's take it away.
Okay, so they're changing stuff up with Doctor Doom right now, and yeah, there's the whole thing about the criminal squad, the masterminds of evil, and all that. Yeah. Screw that, because look, they've been going through multiverse to multiverse, freaking, conquering other universes, going after this Doom, this Iron Fist. Yeah, right. But and then they turn them and say, okay, hey, we've got this, we've got the spoils and everything, and then like Doctor Doom, you don't want any of this, and he's like, nah, I've got some other stuff going on. and I'm into this. I'm in this for some other stuff, and then they cut away to show that what he's actually all about is he's been after all these other Doctor Doom from all these other universes and freaking getting them to submit to him. Doesn't necessarily go into like why, like, hey, hey, that's your thing, man. That's your fetish. You want to freaking, conquer all the other universes forms of yourself. Hey, that's you, man. But once again, the biggest thing that they go into and they try to remind people of is like, hey, this Doctor Doom, we know Doctor Doom is evil, but this is a totally different cat, right? This is the dude that killed his wife, skinned her, and then turned her skin into his armor, right? This is a totally of and the skin and now the skin is magical, and that's what he's been using, to conquer all these other Doctor Doom, man. And then what has he been doing with the Doctor Dooms, right? Well, he first of all he crucifies them until they submit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or he hangs them from a meat hook, or he freaking tears their eyes out. He makes these other Doctor Dooms. Another Doctor Doom, he makes another Doctor Doom cut his own tongue out. All right. I'm saying this Doctor Doom, he's another cat, right? And it's interesting. And I don't know what type of self-inflection philosophy this thing is trying to be like, hey, Doctor Doom hates himself that much, or what they're going with it. But it's another thing that I was not expecting from Avengers Forever. I don't understand why this is not Doom Forever. But the main thing is, at the end that there is a Doom above all, which means there should be a Doom below all, which should be even more evil somehow. Um, I'm kind of reeling right now because this is a ridiculous book. Absolute fucking ridiculous book.
Yeah, I agree.
Fucking ridiculous, right?
Oh man,
But
I didn't
when
know you were going there. Didn't
they,
know you
they,
were
they were
going
fucking
there.
ridiculous book, but the way they slow it down is like, hey, Doom was another copycat. Yeah, you got me. All right.
Right.
Johnny, what did you think?
More multiversal MacGuffins. It makes no difference. It's a multiverse. Who cares? And this is exactly what's wrong with this M word. This word has been bandied around from publisher to publisher for the last 2 years. If I'm not sick of multiverse storylines, on top of that, the idea of a character going out of their way to destroy versions of themselves, well, I'm really sorry, Jason Aaron, but you need to ring up Tom Snigowski and Janine Aitchison from Vampirella, because they've just done the miniseries that ran for 6 issues. They did exactly the same thing. And to be fair, I'd rather see Vampirella in comic books than Doctor Doom. That's just a me thing, right? I'm sure we can agree with Thigh Highs are better than Metal Armor. Or is that just me? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
I thought the art in this was awful. I think is it Jim Town that does the
Jim Tao.
Jim,
Okay.
He did
Jim
everything:
Town.
pencils, inks, and colors.
And it's too cartoony, doesn't work. Um, the versions of Doom, just like Man Doom, then Man Phoenix Doom. I'm like, it's like the episode of The Big Bang where they're trying to work out if Man Bat wears a Batman costume. Is it Man Batman Man, or is it and then so on and so forth. It's pointless. It's pointless. I like Doom when his villainy is actually meant to be doing some good in his own mind.
Yeah.
Doom being a villain for being villain's sake just doesn't work for me. He's too complicated a character. And I think that this moves away from it because he just wants absolute power. Even our Doom, even 616 Doom, surely won't be too short-sighted to think that the other Dooms of the multiverse have something to offer him down the line. But yeah, I'm like, this was like a hard pass for me.
So, not only do we get an Avengers book that Jason Aaron writes that the Avengers hardly ever appear in, now we get a second Avengers book, Avengers Forever, written by Jason Aaron, where there are no Avengers in it. And that to me is a travesty. This Doctor Doom. First of all, Doctor Doom's a Fantastic Four villain. He's not an Avengers villain. He never has been. And now he's the Doom above all. Where have we heard that before? Have we heard the One above all in Hulk?
Right.
We've heard, that the Cosmic Ghost Rider. This is what I like. Why do they have to take these characters that are already friggin' alpha and omega level villains and just try to put them over the top and make them more powerful and more, whatever. And we've seen a cosmic level Doctor Doom before in Secret Wars 30 years ago. It's not like
and more recently as well.
And more recently,
when he created the world, the Doom world.
Yeah. This book to me is forgettable. I thought it was laughable the first couple of pages where his Masters of Evil, who are all overpowered cosmic level versions of even the cosmic level versions that we have of Phoenix and Thanos. And that would get Kid Thanos is like more powerful than regular Thanos. I don't get it. The world that they went into was a world full of man things. I thought that was the stupidest idea I've ever seen. A stupid idea on top of stupid ideas in this. I just don't understand what this book is supposed to be, unless it's supposed to be like a what if version of the multiversal Avengers, and it gives Jason Aaron every excuse to write any story he wants other than an Avengers story.
And that is the problem with the multiverse. Right. It's I was on a pod with someone. In fact, I tell you, I think it was with an indie creator, and we were doing the interview and stuff. And Jack Harris is the guy, and he says, he was off to see Doctor Strange movie, and I called it Doctor Strange and the MacGuffin of the MacGuffin verse, and that's exactly where I am. That's exactly where I am. So no, I agree. I mean, two things I want to see Marvel do, and yeah, I'm going to think that I'm unpopular on this. I want Aaron to leave Avengers. I want Hickman to leave the X-Men.
Well, Hickman's already gone, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. I keep seeing stuff with his name on all over the place.
I mean, well, his influence, his design, is still attributed. His design is attributed to John Hickman, and I for one, I like it. I like what they've done with it, so I'm fine with it. Because look, they brought us to our freaking point. They say, okay, here's a reset, and then they fleshed out all the characters and say, hey, if you want to know about where that character came from, you can go back to the other books. But this is where the beginning for all this stuff now, and then they categorize all the mutants and everything. So it's a baby starter book. That's what Power Hacks and now it's a baby starter book for us young guys.
Nobody dies. Nobody dies.
In the MCU, I'm more understanding of a multiversal type storyline running through Doctor Strange in the movies right now, because that's a way to get the mutants that have not previously appeared in the Fantastic Four and get them all together in the same universe. But I do think eventually this whatever they're doing now has to end with one cohesive world and not the whole multiverse. Here, like I said, I think it's just an excuse for them to do whatever the heck they want. If they don't like the current character that they're writing, they can just make one up from another multiverse and then write that one. I hate the Spider-Verse for the same reasons, where there's too many versions of Spider-Man running around.
The Gwen book.
Right. Yeah. The Avengers Forever with now there's multiversal Avengers running around. It's too much for me. So anyhow, that's going to do it for us on No Prize Podcast today. I am off to Parts Unknown for the next couple of weeks, so I think you guys are on your own for the next episode.
Oh, we're going to kill each other. Oh, my good God.
All right. What's that? It's
the new X-Men Gala.
Let's run 2 minutes. Hey, these are the books that are coming out this week. The Free Comic Book Day. This one is a 1 in 1,000, right? So 1 in 1,000 times 25 cents, it comes out to $300, right? So if you see this book out there for cheaper, go ahead and grab that one. Don't forget, there's also a Marvel Voices version. Then there's an Amazing Spider-Man and Venom John Boy Meyer that's out there. Once again, 1,100 bucks. Judgment Day is coming. X-Men. This
Like
one
that
is
cover.
yeah, it was amazing. Um, Banner Wars coming out. Hulk vs. Thor, Moon Knight, Sinkowitz for Black White Blood.
That's a
Black
good
White,
cover.
the Black White series. What and when there was the odd character, it was great. Now everybody's got one. It's
Yeah.
it's sort of bollocks. Good
The
cover, though.
Cowl, and I forget who did this one, but this one is by Sakai, who usually does Usagi Yojimbo. Captain America, Scotty Young. People love Scotty Young.
Like that one.
The Oliver Couple. This one is the Torrin Clark, and that's it.
All right.
But yeah, freaking, let's go ahead and get out of here. I'm surprised that y'all didn't when y'all was talking about the Avengers Forever. If y'all didn't get into the whole thing about. First of all, he talks about killing everybody, all the other guys killing people for their own sexual fetishes. That's what he literally says. But then when he talks about himself, he's literally with his wife's hands, choking himself, talking about his hands throbbing.
Well, you know,
Hmm.
everyone has a thing.
It's a new meaning to autoerotic
Yeah.
asphyxiation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Gives
All
a
right.
new meaning to the word hands free.
Uh, on that note, enjoy yourselves, guys. Next couple of weeks, and I will see you when I get it back.
Adios.
Adios. Wait, not adios yet. I don't have the outro. There we go.